Dr. Jessica Quadras, Principal of Stella Marries College. Dr. Beatrix D'Souza, former MLA and Member of Parliament, President of the Forum of Anglo-Indian Women, other office bearers, other dignitaries on and off the dais, ladies and gentlemen who have just taken the pledge. Crimes begin in the mind of man. And just as the UN Charter says, war begins in the minds of men. And men with the emphasis on the word men. Though women are known to be participants in crime and have inspired crime right through history, the genre of crime of perpetrating violence against the female of the species is largely committed by men of my ilk. And that is why it is with a great sense of shame that I stand here recalling the ghastly incidents that have been taken place, not just in Delhi. The case of Nirbhaya is well known because she is a one like you, like me, like us, who belong to the middle class, who was a student in a college, a paramedical. But around the same time, there have been cases of the lesser privileged people, even minor children, being raped and murdered in Maharashtra and different parts of the country. And that is why soon after all this happened, I started something called FOP Awas. FOP, as you know, means Friends of Police, though it has other meanings like Friends of Poor, Friends of Progress, Friends of People, Friends of Press, Friends of Patients, Friends of Pupils. All the possible empowerment that any citizen needs in order to be active and enlightened. But I started a new branch of it called FOP Awas, which means AWAS, which stands for a woman assistant. Some women say you're taking it too far. Isn't it taking it too far? But really the concept of a woman as a sister is what could prevent a man from looking at her as an object of sexual harassment, as an object of violence, as someone over whom you must prevail by violence, by aggression, by force. But if this concept is injected by the media across the nation, a million minds could change almost overnight. I have such faith in the power of the media. The members of the fourth estate who are representing the media should take this message through your newspapers and electronic media across the nation. As I have seen in my generation, how when messages are constantly repeated over the media, things have changed in the social ecology. For example, we have found, when I was a child, the message of family planning, hum do hamara dono, and that has penetrated the smallest family, the appetite. They feed the appetite of the male, media and the cinema, and to a large part, they contribute vicariously to inciting violence against women. So there must be a certain self-restraint imposed by cinema, for instance, in not creating formula movies. You know, today every movie, in order to sell, has a certain formula that it should have this percentage of violence, this percentage of sex, and they also take it foreign. You know, the old foreign craze, they take movie settings abroad. And movies have such a powerful impact because everything that happens in life happens twice. Once in the mind and once in reality. These people in Delhi who enacted this deadly tragedy, the consequences of which they are now facing and will perhaps, given the public outrage that has happened, would face it for the rest of their lives. They would have enacted it in their minds and they would have been inspired by certain scenes that they have seen in certain films of recent origin. Of women who, have been heard of a white women campaign, who remain cloistered in their huts and hamlets across the nation, who are subjected day in and day out, not just in the street, but within the confines of their homes, to violence, domestic violence, violence from their kith and kin, from the very guardians who are supposed to protect them. And if this message percolates, a woman, a sister, anyone who is not your spouse, every male Indian citizen should consider as a sister, and not a person who should be subjected to harassment or not an object of lust and desire, but someone who should be cherished, honored, protected. If this concept can be repeated a billion times to a billion people through the blitzkrieg of the media, I'm sure there would be transformation within a much shorter period than we can imagine. But unfortunately, as you said, negative images are continuing to be repeated day in and day out. Even the image of this policeman, and that dastardly deed of this policeman beating up a woman and her father who had come to complain of those something, that was constantly repeated. Man or woman or child, not to fear the police, but rather partner with the police. That the police would view the citizens as friends of the police, and the people would view the police as friends of people. A transformation of the mind takes place when this concept is injected into the mind of every citizen, and so that they become proactive. There have been a large number of instances where friends of police have been able to save young girls being trafficked. I know of one case where two girls had left their home, friends, after some problem at home. They took a train and went to quite another district, and they were roaming aimlessly. At the time, a certain young man said, "Come along with him," and they innocently were going. And one friend of police noticed that and questioned that young man for what purpose was he taking them, and was able to intimate the guardians, the parents, and restore those young girls back to their families. Similarly, there have been instances of trafficking, even from Mumbai, which friends of police from Tanjavur have been able to prevent. So what we need to look at is not just a once in a year Happy Women's Day, as if men expect you to be unhappy the rest of the year. Each of us needs to spread like a buzzword. Two concepts are twins together. It's a twin concept. FOP, where every citizen needs to play a progressive, proactive role to prevent crime of any kind. And the most heinous type of crime is crimes against women. You all know the statistics of crimes, that in India it is said that a rape occurs every 20 minutes. Tamil Nadu, thanks to the superintendents of the Honorable Chief Minister, a strong person, an iron woman, there is much greater focus on fighting crimes against women. And she came out with a very strong statement and a commitment of the government and the police to fight crime against women recently after those incidents in Delhi. And there has been a kind of crusade that has spread across the state. The police have got sensitized. And Tamil Nadu is one of the few states. I do not agree with the president saying, advising her daughter not to go to the police. Today I can say confidently that you can tell your daughters, your sisters, your wives to go to the police, because not just that the men are sensitized, but there are larger number of women component in the police in Tamil Nadu than perhaps any other state in the country. And you will find women at senior levels of women. And there are so many IPS officers who are women, the leaders. And therefore you should be able, as a very joint friends of police, you will, all these inhibitions would be set aside, because these are inhibitions that have come from our cultural legacies, from the British, that the police are anti-people, and that if the child does not eat, what do you tell your children? I'm sure all of you have done that. Haven't you done that? You tell the children that the policeman will call the policeman. And so, just like there are crimes against women, that prejudice against the police needs to go. Because police are here for the sake of societies, which includes women. A greater part of women, of society are women around the world. And therefore the world will prosper as women are empowered, not to be pitied, but to be empathized, to be respected, and so that they rise to their full potential. Because I believe that women, more than men, are co-creators of life with God Himself. And therefore they should be given a place of honor in the home. And that's why even the police department, the most important department of government is called home. Why is it called home? It's a recognition of the importance of the home, where the women, plays the major role. But now, of course, these stereotypes are passing, and women can be found equally in workplaces, and they have even, gone through to very high levels. So we must no longer talk in terms of a power struggle. And this woman, I told you that I read about it in New York, how a drunken policeman drags this young lady who is waiting to catch a bus to join on the first day of her dream job, a job as a teacher in a school in Bronx. And this drunken policeman subjects her to whether you belong to any kind of religious minority or majority or community, any type of nationality. Men and women are co-equal. Today my daughters are co-equal with me. They are as empowered. In fact, most of the decisions they take for their own. And they sometimes dictate decisions to me. And that's the kind of empowerment that we must see happening in homes. And then automatically it gets reflected in public life, it gets reflected in educational institutions like this, it gets reflected in the bus ride home. Millions of women are misbehavior by men in public vehicles or any other mode of transport or in the streets or wherever it is. When there is zero tolerance, then it will not aggravate to other crimes. Because you see, there is a pyramid of crime which as I analyzed the figures, you'll find the less serious, so-called less serious offenses. You must no longer use the word teasing. It is making it frivolous. It should be called sexual harassment. And Tamil Nadu government was one of the first to redefine it as sexual harassment. And FOP conducted a series of seminars on crimes against women in this millennium as early as 2000 in a women's college in Chennai city. And therefore I ask all women here to join FOP Awards initially, whether at home or elsewhere. And that would lead to an effect of reducing even the more heinous offenses like murder, rape, cruelty by husband and wives, trafficking, kidnapping, abduction of women. And so in the days to come, we must, in the next 10 years at least, we must work towards a zero crime rate level in crimes against women. And that will happen when this becomes a mass campaign, not just 100 people here, but the people outside in the streets, the auto rickshaw drivers, the coolies, because they are the ones who got involved in crimes like this, because they get easily exposed to the stimuli in media and even pornography, which is now freely available on internet. And then they need an outlet, and they come up with such horrendous plots, which they enact as it happened recently. So I once again congratulate the office bearers of the Forum of Anglo-Indian Women and the Center for Women's Studies, Stella Marries College, for having jointly organized this platform to increase the voice for the voiceless, and to empower women